Welcome back to Uncommon Sense. Today's guest is redefining what nutrition means in Dubai. Manisha Advani is a certified health coach, entrepreneur, and the founder of Sante Cafe here in Dubai. She's very deeply integrated within the industry, and she's involved with a number of different businesses in health, in nutrition, and food. In this episode, she takes us through her journey and some of the biggest misconceptions around health, around nutrition, but also shares some of the best things you can be doing right now for your health. But she also covers some broader lessons around business, around life, which I think will resonate with a lot of people. This is an episode we really enjoyed filming, so we hope you enjoy it. Manisha, thanks for coming along today. It's been a while since we've recorded a podcast actually, but we've met you once, I think.
Yeah.
And
India final.
at the India final, which they flogged New Zealand, by the way.
Yeah.
It was kind of boring.
It was. It did get boring. But we didn't really get to know you a lot. We didn't get to understand your story a bit. So today's good for us. We get to know a little bit about you and your story. So yeah, take us through your timeline, however well of a description.
Awesome. Happy to be here. So I'm a Dubai kid through and through. Like, people who say that really live by this, especially if you see social media now. Everyone's just been talking about how much they love Dubai. I'm not going to do that. But yes, through and through. And so I went to high school over here. And my interest before I went away for my undergrad wasn't what it is now. I was really all for like maybe working in the World Bank or something, or the IMF or the United Nations, something like that. Hence why I chose a Bachelor of Science in Economics and French at Penn State, which is, funnily enough, #1 party school at the time. And my journey in those 4 years was really amazing because being an athlete in high school, you don't condition yourself to what you're eating. You basically just eat as a student, and unlike how everybody is now, the audience is very well educated. So at the time, I would just eat what my parents would give me, which was good food, of course, nutritious, well-rounded. And then once I went to college, I wasn't doing 5 sports a day. I wasn't on any school team. Of course, I still played basketball, but I wasn't on any school team. So nutrition took like a back seat, and it was really showing on your body, your mental health, and also on your day-to-day lifestyle. And that's when I was starting to like get affiliated with health, like trying to understand from whatever I knew. And towards the end of college, I got really into food. And once I graduated, I of course came back here. I wanted to work somewhere that was more like hip and trendy. Hence, I started working at Gulf News Broadcasting, which at the time was one of the top radio stations in Dubai. If you were here before, you would know of like 104.1, 99.3. Your parents would know for sure. And it was part of Gulf News. And then I did marketing and sales, and it was really good. I got to meet people, and that's where I realized my passion is more along people. And while I was doing that, I also have a family business where we will get to later. And towards after a year and a half of my tenure, my family needed some help. I have other siblings, but they hadn't graduated yet. So I left that job to work with my family. After I started working with my family, we're starting to work on some expansion plans in our F&B section. I realized I need a lot more knowledge. During that time, which I just now skipped, is I went to culinary school. Before I even started working, I just went to culinary school for pastry, because in college when nutrition peaked, also my love for like baking did. But I didn't want to just be a baker. I wanted to understand the science behind it, especially because I came from an F&B background. So anyway, so we did that, and after I quit my job, I worked with my family. After that, I went to do my MBA in finance. I came back, I worked in strategy at Unilever. I came back during which I also try to get certified in health and fitness. And once I finished all of that, COVID was when health and then after COVID was now where I am today. Yes, that was confusing for me also.
Yeah, well, we skimmed through that timeline, really quickly. But just to help, I guess connect the dots for you of how you kind of jumped across and just followed your keys and interests, and what stage in your life you were at that was leading to what you were gonna, keep a forefront in your life at that time. So let's just go back to that initial interest in high school, thinking about banking and stuff, still relatively unsure, so you chose a Bachelor of Science in Economics. How self-centered was that interest for potentially going into banking for you? Did you feel there was a lot of influences that you're feeling from school, where you were being here in the GCC? Like, what do you put that down to?
Yeah, of course. At that time, it was right before the 2008, 2007 Lehman Brothers. So it was really cool because we called the internship I was at, we called that this crash was going to happen. So some people kind of knew. And of course, at the time when you're building your career as a young adult, one of the best sectors was to go into banking. You could see that people were making a lot of money, especially investment bankers. And a lot of my friends are still in banking and they're doing really well. So I wanted to do that as well. And of course, I come from an entrepreneurial background, but when you first start out, you don't want to jump into that right away. Well, that was the notion back in the day. You don't want to start away in your startup right away. You want some experience to understand how to build your startup. So I felt this was the best way to do so. Of course, I thought I'd be like a rich banker. So that was the incentive. But at the same time, I'm always someone who likes to add value and give back. And not give back in terms of like charity. Just give back in whatever way I can. Because you know that old folklore, like you give a fish to someone versus if you teach them how to fish. They're two different things. So I wanted to find other ways to give back, and I thought if I worked at the United Nations or World Bank, maybe I could help. But as we go along today, we realize that's not a lot of help. But we'll see.
I'm interested in a point in time that you just went through there. You said that where you were doing the internship just before the financial crisis. You said that you kind of guessed it, or you knew that that was going to happen. What kind of signs led you to have those thoughts and realize that something big was about to happen?
Yeah, well, it wasn't me. I won't take the credit for it, of course. I didn't know anything. It was my internship was at Citibank, so everybody I worked with, including investment bankers, the crash was because of subprime mortgages. So we were learning about how lending and how people were taking on a lot of leverage, and it was this bubble that was just about to burst. So everything kept peaking. So it was just a matter of time. That's what they called it. So if you see something peaking for a really long time, even like you could say real estate market over here, which people will say will still peak, but you can see that any changes in an environment will really cause that drop. And it's a cycle. So whatever goes up must come down. So, I mean, I was just an intern, but it was really insightful to understand how people's sentiments really reflect what's going on in the market. So, yeah, I don't want to take too much credit for that.
Yeah, well, you can probably point to right at the moment, the titles that are coming out with the index and share drops here in the UAE. And, I think whilst with the situation that's been going on, we're only 2.5 weeks into that, and real estate markets and stuff take a little longer to be adjusted properly. But connect us from that interest and that so timely internship that you had going through that period to then, looking towards, your passion for sports and stuff. And when you started rethinking and prioritizing your health and stuff a bit more, and then ultimately how you brought that entrepreneurial side of yourself that you maybe thought you had from an early age and forged that path into health and nutrition.
Oh, that's a very long journey. But I would like to credit my high school for that. I did like a lot of sports and my family. Just a lot, like softball, basketball, netball, field hockey. No one even does field hockey in Dubai anymore. But so all of this kept you really active. But when you're in college, your class schedule, your timings, your friends, your parties, you want to be able to balance everything. And that's where after 6 months, I realized everything you eat and the activity you do throughout the day, the people you meet, the company you keep really matters. So if your roommate's gonna eat Oreos all day, you want to eat that. I mean, Oreos are not bad, but you know what I mean. And it took me a really long, 6 months to understand nutrition really well. I made friends at the gym. So everybody says in any culture or religion, and even your family, association is key. So the friends you make, like you two are friends, here we are. So the friends you make is what will showcase how you turn out in the future. This is not a blanket statement. It's usually the case, but that's where you make like more smarter choices with friends, maybe at the gym, maybe the ones you've been playing sports with, maybe the ones in your class. And that journey with the food, and then I started cooking and watching a lot of Food Network. Food Network still does really well. And just wanted to combine what I was watching with what I was eating, and what you're putting into your body really translates directly into your day, like your mood. I'm in a good mood because I ate fairly well today, or not at all. I've been fasting, so and then it translates into your mental health, which people have been talking about now. But so many years back, no one was talking about that. They said mental health equals maybe someone was mean to you, let's put you on antidepressants. But we're not looking into the root cause of why, or even taking smaller steps to cure this big issue that we have. And that's where I always thought that I want to do something. I just didn't know how to relate it to where I am now. So I think also you have to give yourself the grace. I feel like sometimes people are like, I better do this, like first mover's advantage, blue ocean strategy. I feel like I gave myself a little bit of grace into letting these answers come to me and then using them in my career or whatever venture I wanted to move on to next.
When did you think that, like, for the broader industry in health and nutrition, when did you think that awareness came around? Like, was it a particular technological advancement? Was it a particular study? Or just, was it just people realizing and connecting the dots between, what I'm putting in my body is like genuinely affecting how I feel?
I think people are still trying to figure that out. Cookies make you feel nice. I mean, they do, but not all the time, because when it's just like a drug. They said this study was about, I think we were in college when we read this, and we were doing a marketing study about Kellogg's. It was in my marketing class. College. And there was a study where it said, why did they make cereal? Cereal has a lot of, back in the day, well, kids were not eating properly, so they needed something fun. But also they said cereal had sugar, which was really addictive, because in the beginning it was really boring. Like, you don't want to eat wheat bran flakes. That's kind of like, even Weetabix. Let's take Weetabix. That's really boring. Even now, like some classical nutritionists, they will recommend Weetabix. But it's really depressing. I would not want to eat that. So I think back in the day, it was Kellogg's. They started cereal and they had sugar. And sugar equals, now they say sugar equals crack. And why? Because the kids would get addicted to it, and then they would ask for more and more and more. But the labeling in front was 20% more grains, 20% whole grains, or honey nut Cheerios. Like, it has honey, and we're not using refined flour. But when you read the fine print, which is at the back, it showed that this stuff was addictive to the kids. And when you took it away, either kids would become cranky or they would want other sugary stuff. So I feel like at that time, it was still trying to like come to surface. Now, of course, we're super aware because we're intaking a lot of information, but there's also a lot of misinformation when we talk about AI. So from now to then, I think then it was really hard to like tamper with. But it took much longer for something to come forward. I think one key moment was, of course, in college, I think around 2010, 2011, 2012, people were starting to read more about nutrition. And as more athletes try to post about their lifestyle, so you would see articles like Tom Brady, such a famous athlete, he married a model. He started promoting his nutrition through her. So they were eating the same food, but people were more interested in her, and then people started to learn. He actually has a nutrition program, but this was way before. He started way before, and people were trying to be more educated. So I think the onus is on celebrities and famous people to bring this information to light. So he was the one who was telling people, okay, like this is how my mood is being, affected. And the second part was what we spoke about earlier, like the Game Changers movie. It wasn't just about veganism, it was just about nutrition. People were just trying to understand what is going on and trying to release more movies as such to understand what is it that nutrition is really doing. But I think we're still lagging. I think we still have to do a lot of work to show like this is what is really happening. And that's why now labels have become more transparent, which is actually a nice thing. Yeah, I think these were two pivotal points.
Sorry, just to follow up. Like, you said, how there's a lot of misinformation. Well, there's like an overload of information as well. People, it just adds confusion. I think like there's a lot of confusion around it. And
Like they flipped the food pyramid in the US as
Oh
well.
my
Like, can you believe
God.
that? For decades they've been preaching this one pyramid, and then they overnight just suddenly flip it. And that's one. And I feel from the top down, the food advice is just so diverse, and it's almost like everything can be bad for you or everything can be good for you, and it comes down to then portion and
Yeah.
But one question I have is like, how much, like people preach that this is the right way or this is the right way. How much of it is one right way compared to what works for this person's body compared to what might work for your body compared to what might work for Jai's body?
So I learned, I did my health coach's nutrition certification online while I was working for my family business, because I had more time on my hands, because you can really dabble in what your day-to-day schedule is. So in that, I learned about bio-individuality, which is what you both said, and that is the most important takeaway for anybody. And in fact, it's so funny, my brother said it the other day when my sister was telling my father and some other lady who loves keto. She's like on a ketogenic diet all the time, which works for her really well, but it's not sustainable. Keto is not sustainable. I can say that out loud. And whereas my sister was giving her nutrition advice, and then it was really nice of my brother just to make a nice educated guess and say, honestly, you don't know, because it's bio-individual. The way you were brought up, what foods you were eating as a kid, to what you're doing now day to day, to the environment, maybe your screen time. Maybe you have 10 hours and versus you have 8 hours. So maybe you need something else. Maybe my screen time is not that high. It could be really small factors that really impact what you've been eating. And speaking of food pyramid, there was a study that said that all of this was influenced by the government because, for example, milk industry was being subsidized because they were taking a really hard hit, and the government was helping them. So they had a tie-up with the nutritionists to introduce this food pyramid. So look, like you said, there's a lot of overload of information. I think we just have to see what's good for us. And of course, like basic whole foods is what's really important. And I feel like also it's a guideline. Everything else is on you and what works for you. But the problem now is when you're purchasing something, it always had something added in. And people were talking about how back in the day, everything everyone wants to eat is gluten-free now. But what happened? Why are people intolerant to gluten all of a sudden? It's not just because, okay, over time our human body also changes, but also before the genetic makeup of a grain was different and versus now. So the water we're using, prime example could be, look, we're in a war and we have a desalination plant, and you can tell the water you're drinking now in the UAE has a higher sodium level than when you are in Australia, for the matter of fact. And it really impacts like whether you feel bloated or not. The impact is 1 or 2%, but it still matters. Imagine you're an athlete competing and you have a weigh-in tomorrow and you drank this water versus that water. So all the nutritionists already knew about this. All the people who are guiding, their coaches, they already knew about this. But what I was trying to say was the genetic makeup. So because everything is so much more processed now, you're using fertilizers and other things, genetically modified objects or organisms, sorry, GMOs. And they really impact how our body is reacting. That's why more people are gluten intolerant now than they were back in the day. No farmer would ever say, hi, I'm gluten intolerant. People would start laughing at him. But now that's the case because that time it was maybe organic farming or whatever else he was doing. Versus now, it's not the case. So that could be one of the reasons.
And it's funny you say that actually. We were
Yeah,
just
literally.
literally like not about an hour or two ago, we know a few people who are gluten free, they're celiac. And like
Yeah,
they were saying, you know, if they go to a small country in Europe, somewhere Italy,
it'll be
the
fine.
flour doesn't affect them there
Yeah.
compared to if they're in Australia because the genetic makeup it's pure.
Yeah.
It's like it's not modified, it's
Yeah.
not chemicalized or
Yeah,
whatever.
like the nonna is making the pizza
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
kitchen from scratch. It's fine. You won't feel that much on your stomach versus if you have it here. You know, there you can have 10 slices. Here you can only have one.
Yeah, is that genetic artificial, like, yeah, where they come in and just, whereas in Europe, you know, it's straight grain to plate. And yeah, you've got celiacs who can go over there and eat as much bread and stuff as they want, completely fine.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. But if we were, and I know you were just speaking to how it is very individual and everyone is different from the last person in terms of what diet and nutrition would be best for them. But if we could try and be as general as possible, predominantly speaking, where would you, like through your lessons and what you've learned, where would you gesture towards in terms of the best diet that the average person, and that's in quotation because, you know, that's completely, you know, up in the air, but where would you look to in terms of diet and what should people be eating just generally speaking?
Yeah, just generally speaking. I don't want to like offend anyone. It's so important nowadays. Everyone's offended all the time. But generally speaking, you need to have whole, clean foods. So whatever, even if it's organic or not organic, you just need to have general like whole grain foods, whole grains. Like try to see whatever comes from source to your plate. Does it look the same shape? For example, a tomato. You plucked it. Does it look the same? Yeah. Okay, I'll eat it. Spinach. Does it look the same? Yes. So objects like this. So for example, we take bread, for example. Okay. So we were talking about bread like the nonna made, but actually when you see the bread, you are farming it as a seed. Then it grew into this really tall plant. From that tall plant, you took out some more of those seeds. Then you took it to process it further. It became a powder. From that powder, you added something else to it, maybe yeast. That's what people really like sourdough nowadays because you're not using yeast. But then you added yeast. Then you added some water. Then you added some oil. You don't know where the oil came from, actually. You didn't make it yourself. And then you got this really big loaf. And you're like, it went through 5 different shapes. So what we're trying to encourage people is try to whole grains. Like I really encourage everybody to have rice. It's readily available. So rice, fruits and vegetables that haven't been processed, so more fresh produce. I know it's really hard now. Your legumes that don't change shape at all. Try to have them exactly how they were. You know, cook it exactly how you feel like you would be able to digest it best. And of course, try to be flexitarian. Means don't kill yourself. You know, try to have a little fun because if you're gonna be depressed, then you won't last long. So once a week you can be flexitarian. You know, of course, everybody says this red meat is like not ideal. because of what nowadays, because of how our bodies are and how much they can tolerate. But yeah, you can be flexitarian. You can reduce the amount of things that are processed. And out of the 7 days in a week, 6 days of the week, you can try to make sure you have enough fiber content in your diet, enough carbs. Carbs means complex carbs, not simple carbs. And try to have some fruit and vegetables because they have a lot of antioxidants. And yeah, I think, and your protein, whichever source, I'm not going to describe it. Whichever source you want to get it from, yeah, and that would be a well-rounded diet. You just have to look at your plate and be like, does it look like all these 3 things or 4 things are in there? And if that's the case, then I think you're good, you know? And of course, the best part is to stay active, because I think that's what we learned through like my school years to college to now. You need to stay active. Even I was talking to a doctor. She's a gynac, and she said that the thumb rule for someone who's diabetic, you need to go for a walk every day for a minimum of 45 days. Otherwise, basic byproduct is you'll die. Diabetes is a really killer disease, actually. We need to be really careful about that. So yeah.
I want to touch on the conversation about seed oils a bit. There's a lot now on the dangers of it, the inflammatory effects that they have. First of all, what comes under seed oils, and is there any truth to that danger?
I think we have to refer back to our initial conversation about GMOs. People were having other kinds of seed oils back in the day. Example, Asian cooking, they're using a lot of sesame oil. And now, when we speak about women's health, they do seed cycling. And they're using some of these seeds throughout their monthly cycles to help them and improve their cycles. One of them could be sesame seeds, one of them could be chia seeds. So any seeds will count as that. Rapeseed oil is what a lot of people are saying. But then again, you go back to Asian cooking and they're using rapeseed oil. You go to Hot Pot Place, they have a special rapeseed oil broth. So even I can't fully rely on the information that's been fed on us. But yeah, there is some truth, of course, because like we said, when stuff is processed and added in, you don't know where it's coming from. We were talking about palm oils last time, how Nutella is mostly palm oil, and what planting palm oils, these palm trees, is doing to our environment and why it's bad for you. But that is now. What was happening before is my question also. Like, I feel like you can't believe everything, but yeah, you should definitely pay heed to it and try to see what impacts you and how it does. Best oils to go for are coconut oil, higher smoke point. Means that even if your food is burning, you're kind of okay, because smoke point for coconut oil, I think, is 100 degrees Celsius. So it's not gonna burn and become carcinogenic. Olive oil is good because it's mostly, when you're getting it, try to get like a cold press one, and it's not good for like extreme high pressure points, but like it's amazing for like salads and pizzas, because that's just a few minutes, if at all. And these oils people can rely on. Of course, they rely on animal fat. Even though I try to rely on plant-based cooking, I would tell the people I work with in consulting for their diet that ghee, like clarified butter, is one of the best things ever, if you know where it's coming from. This is the problem with these seed oils also. The ones you're getting, which are largely available, are mostly bad for you. But I can't make that blanket statement, because there are people who are having other seed oils, sesame seeds, mustard oil, and they're fine. Maybe some Chinese grandmother who's 105 years old. She's been having sesame oil her whole life. She probably doesn't even know if there is any other oil. They were talking about how sunflower oil was largely available. Again, I think they were being subsidized at a certain point of time. And it was a marketing strategy where in between everybody used sunflower oil and not corn oil. Do you remember this? Actually, maybe you guys don't remember this. This is for me, my time. And everyone's like, corn oil is so bad for you. America grows so much corn and everything includes corn. Well, yes, because it's easier to grow. And then they stopped using corn oil. Then they went back to sunflower oil. And then you realize it's not as good as they said it was. So is everyone actually speaking the truth? I feel like people who are really scared should really talk to a health professional who has the degree to give them that advice and they can rely on them. But nowadays, you see, if you go to a clinic, they make you sign a waiver and they're like, we're not responsible. Okay, then who is? You know? So I feel like the onus is on us to not completely rely on what's out there. Now we were talking about media and how they were showing this video of this crazy blast, which never actually happened. So you can really make your own narrative. But as for seed oils, not all of them are bad. And I think everything in a limit is fine because we spoke about this earlier. Balance is key. So clarified butter, as long as it's from a good source, you know where it's coming from. If the nonna, she's on a farm in Italy and she has her own cows, then yeah, for sure, it's probably really good butter. And if she has her own olive trees, even better.
Yeah. And if we were to tie, this expertise and all your perspectives that you've got to the industry that's constantly evolving and changing, tell us, what you do now through Sol, Sante Cafe and MyGovindas, your positions there, and how, where you're looking towards and those companies are looking towards in terms of trying to build that complete makeup of trying to create the best food possible through the most organic ways and processes. Whilst perfect is probably impossible, trying to make it just as good as possible for your clients.
100%. I think this was my quote, like, progress is perfection. As long as you're progressing, you're getting close to perfection. There's no such thing as perfection. You would take, for example, any athlete, Usain Bolt. There was only a certain limit that he could cross, and then he got old, and then he can't run faster than that. But he had to keep progressing. You can take F1 driver like Lewis Hamilton or Michael Schumacher. There's always going to be someone who's better than. There always is someone who's going to do a faster lap, but that's the way it is. There's no such thing as perfect. You can't. But yes, speaking of that, we do strive for perfection because we just want to be better every day than we were yesterday. So what we try to do is try to look into our suppliers and try to always choose the best one. Sometimes the food might be, well, we're not talking about now. We were talking about before, right? Let's not talk about expenses now. But sometimes the food might be a little more expensive than this dish that you can get somewhere else. But that's where you rely on the brand and the quality that they're trying to offer you. So when my family started in 2001, my father, he started as a passion project. We have other businesses, but this one, MyGovindas, was a passion project. That's where food came into my life. And my mom being a really good cook, it was just a lot of food around me. And I was like, okay, I'm eating all this delicious food, but what is going inside? What is the output? What is my output when I eat all of this? That's why we started with the Satvic cooking. Satvic means we're trying to promote all the principles of sattva, which is purity, balance, and harmony. Which is, even in Buddhism, they say about balance and harmony. And what we're trying to do here is trying to put our best foot forward, trying to give you all these whole foods. So mostly offer healthy food. And then, of course, we have the usual staples that an Indian person would go to a restaurant and expect. But we're trying to make this food in the mode of goodness. So all our brands, even Sol Sante Cafe, we don't use any onion and garlic at all. Why that is, and if you speak to a really experienced yogi or really elevated, they say, yogi or enlightened, the reason they don't add onion and garlic, or we don't, is because so when you're sick, you use garlic cloves to cure your throat. Why is that? Is because garlic actually produces a lot of heat in your body. Now we're living in a warm climate. It's different if we were living in like Antarctica. Let's not speak of that. But when you're having these, your mental balance is slightly more disturbed than it would be without. So that means if you're going to go and meditate and your aim today is, Rishabh is like, I want to meditate for 10 minutes. Literally after 5 minutes, if he practices this test, we do this in food intolerances. For 1 week, you eat that specific ingredient every day. And then for the next week, you cut it out completely to see what this ingredient is doing to your body. So if you notice that if he has garlic in the afternoon and he tries to meditate at night, it might be a little more tough. Versus if he doesn't eat it at all, it'll be slightly more easier. Please note how I'm being really diplomatic in my answers. So that's why we try to not use this, and we try to use Ayurvedic principles in all of our food. So traditionally, what someone's grandmother was eating, we're trying to bring that food back. So for example, we use seasonal produce, and certain dishes that are only available in the winter, they're mustard greens. Mustard greens are only available in the winter. Once winter is over, you can't get them. Of course, with today's day and age, you can, but we do not use that. So that was one example what we try to do at MyGovindas, try to use whole, fresh produce. Sol Sante Cafe came about as my baby, as I was really into health and nutrition. And I felt like there was nowhere, just like they have in, I got this idea from California, where all the celebrities are, everything is calorie counted, half of this stuff is gluten-free, and they're really giving information to everybody on what's going inside their food. And that's why Whole Foods does really well in California. Not that Whole Foods is the best supermarket to shop at, just they have more information. So I wanted to give a place to fight the notion that healthy food is boring. So I don't want to eat that depressing, they're still available at some places, a depressing cookie that tastes like cardboard because it has no sugar, no gluten, and someone else said no happiness. But I wanted to give Sol Sante, Sante in French means health, so Sol Health Cafe. So again, we have Ayurvedic principles with modern cooking techniques. So as a pastry chef, what is the science behind making a good cookie that tastes good, but without any sugar? What is sugar replacing over here? And we replaced it with other natural foods, not a sweetener, but dates, for example. We just wanted to be able to give people the traditional ingredients they're used to, but mixed into something else, and give them something really basic like a pizza, and try to make it nice and fun and slightly more healthier. And everything was calorie counted because I wanted people to have the information like we spoke about just now. You make the decision. I'm going to tell you this is what's in there, and you decide if you want to eat it or not, and how much fat it had, how many carbs it had, what's the ratio of protein, are you meeting your protein content for the day, is this going to fuel you as an athlete? I just wanted to hold myself accountable and try to give back, try to educate people and tell them that this is what we're serving. I would love it if you would enjoy it with me and try to offer that. So Sol Sante is a cloud kitchen. We try to cater to not only customers, but also other businesses who want to maybe offer their clientele with gluten-free options or healthier options, like a spa or like a wellness cafe. So we will supply to them and help them offer this to their clients. Yeah, so that's what we're trying to do. And right now with Govindas, what we're doing is we're trying to give back also. During Ramadan, we wanted to give meals to not people like you and me, because we're so fortunate and so grateful, but any cab driver, anyone who really needed it, they could have come to us and be like, hey, I need this meal. So we try to help them out. So just try to use the principle of giving back in different ways. Like we said earlier, we'll circle back to my initial conversation where there are multiple ways to be able to give back to someone. It's on you on how you want to do that. So I think the brand stands for that. And my role is to help with these recipes and try to market it to people, to the right people. Everyone doesn't have to be your customer, but everyone can be your customer at certain points in their life.
I've got an interesting statistic here. Studies have shown that about 60%, or more than 60% of restaurants fail within the first year. In such a competitive industry, now, and especially in the health food industry now, what was your mental models around that, around succeeding in what you do now?
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, I'm still learning. Yes, this study they showed in when food before COVID and after COVID, so there's just a 1 year gap. They said the study was published by Zomato. They said in Dubai, 1,500 restaurants opened in 1 year, and then 1,000 closed within the year, like the fiscal year. So yeah, the market is very saturated. Just like in Hong Kong food scene is really good. But then what we learned from other countries, and Dubai is 10 years behind in terms of their economy, because their economy is still growing. Not in terms of the support they're providing businesses and people, but just consumer trends. And I feel like they're also building their own trends. But I feel like every cuisine and every customer has a niche. And as a restaurant, instead of trying to please everybody, like if you offer, for example, I'm a pizza place, they're offering small, medium, large. So maybe they're either catering to a person who wants to eat alone or a person who wants to eat less, because the same person can also eat a medium, they can also eat a large. But at the end of the day, it's what kind of food they're serving and who they're trying to attract to. So it's really important for us to give the right information to the right people, which we said earlier. So for example, Soul Sante, everybody will not want to eat that food, but everyone can. And it's my job to give the information to the right people. I think even now when we were talking about information overload, maybe there's a certain kind of information that I've never received. So I wouldn't even know. So my job is to tell people and educate them and let them make an educated guess. And I think another thing I learned from working with people around me who are more experienced is you can't please everybody. They said, you can't please everybody, you're not Nutella. That was the tweet or meme. But nobody even eats Nutella anymore. Well, at least people I know don't. But they said that as long as you're staying true to your brand profile and your brand identity, that helps. In the MBA, we learned first mover advantage or blue ocean strategy. And that's a little tough because maybe there will be somebody who's already doing that, or somebody will copy you after that. But if you were so easy to be replaced, then you shouldn't have existed in the first place. So we want to have a strong brand guideline, strong brand identity, what we stand for. Everybody knows what MyGovindas stands for. Everybody knows what Soul Sante stands for. They know that there will probably never be anything with gluten over there unless somebody asked for it. So you have to have that strong brand presence, even if we're a homegrown brand, even if you're a cafeteria. The cafeteria is known for junk food. Okay, stick to that. Let me just stick to that and I will do well. Imagine a cafeteria offering lobster thermidor. Would you go there to eat lobster thermidor? Definitely not, because lobster is really expensive and you don't really know where it's coming from. So that has really helped us along the way, and also not trying to get bogged down or sway into new trends. Try to understand the trend, see if it fits us, and then see if we can go along with that trend or not. And yeah, just have a strong customer segment. Customers will come and go. You should stay consistent because that's what puts your best foot forward, you know?
Yeah, well, sometimes I find even myself, it's so hard to understand the logic for how hospitality businesses go about differentiating, or lack thereof, differentiating from just neighboring businesses next to them.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, it's completely different again, but even the souk here in Dubai, where there's thousands of gold and jewelry stores, it's like, how in the world are you differentiating from the people around you? But then you've got people in there whose family and stuff, second, third generation,
Yeah.
very well off. And that's the same in the restaurant. So it's really cool to see what kind of value you put in as soon as, that brand presence. And as soon as people even look at the titles to your businesses, let alone walk into one of the restaurants, how they feel and how transparent that is, and how that automatically separates you from the rest. But, to kind of switch course again, what is like one widely accepted healthy habit that you feel either is just completely false or in a sustainable long-term context just doesn't work?
Good question. I saw this question earlier when you were like, I think I brushed upon this about keto, or like carbs are the enemy. But what are carbs? Everything has carb. It just depends on how much. For example, keto diet follows low carb, high fat diet. Okay, but if the guy has like really bad cholesterol, he can't switch to keto immediately. He has to first reduce his cholesterol, then switch, because it has high fat, even if it's good fats. So carbs are bad, is what I want to say. They are not. I also used to think that in my first year of college, when I was learning about nutrition, I ate salad and cheese almost 4 days a week. I was like, oh my God, this is working. Right, but not in the long run. I tried it again when my last year of college, it did not work. So that was a prime example. And as your body changes, you might need something else. Carbs are fuel. They directly convert into energy. Protein goes to your muscles and they build muscle. But there are complex carbs and there are simple carbs. And when someone says, oh my God, I'm going to cut out carbs, a carrot has carbs. Why would you cut out carrot from your diet permanently? So that statement, carbs are the enemy, is wrong. Yeah, I get like cutting out pizza and you want to eat it once a month. Yeah. But this statement, I wish the internet deleted it completely. That one for sure.
Right, fair enough. And I've got a question about technology. And that's become massive in the health industry and nutrition, especially companies like Whoop.
Yes.
Because the saying is knowledge. What is it? Feedback equals knowledge. Knowledge equals power.
Yeah.
And that's what Whoop gives you,
Yeah.
right? It gives you like all those insights and where you can improve. What role do you think those kind of tools and technology can now play in making people's lives better with nutrition and health?
Yeah. So Whoop is going to come out with another version. I don't know if they have it out already, where they check all your biomarkers, like we were talking about cholesterol, other things amongst those, blood pressure, all of these things. And I think I don't wear any wearables because I don't like screen time. So like my screen time is really high because of the work I do. And I'm like, this is going to add to it. I can't. And I really like my life as is for now. But I believe this is really nice for people. My grandmother, she has diabetes. Really good for her. You can check your blood sugar level much faster. They have that wearable. I forget what that patch is called. I don't remember. But through that, it's similar to Whoop. Like you can check all your day-to-day activity levels, but also your blood sugar. And I think it's really nice. Like you said, knowledge is power, but knowledge is also really important to be used in the right way at the right time. Obsessing over it is, I feel personally, what we have learned about health and mental health is really bad for mental health. You can meet an athlete who's the fittest he's ever been, and his mental health is not amazing. Some days you'll check on your Whoop. Oh, I slept really bad yesterday. I was perfect. I did 10K. I went for my workout. I ate really well. Why did I sleep bad? Maybe I was obsessing, or maybe I was sad. And that still, they're going to work on this further. I feel like over time, people are going to be able to tell how you're feeling. I think all these wearables, and they're going to become better in the future, have to be used for an actual good cause. And we shouldn't, personally at least, we shouldn't obsess over it. But yeah, like my partner has a wearable and he wears it almost every day except on holiday, because it's gonna give him like weird numbers on holiday, and he'll be like, and he'll obsess over it, and that'll make him feel bad. So that would be my takeaway from these, and I think they're just gonna get better with time. For example, before they would say, I know someone who wears 3 wearables. They wear something on their arm. They have an Apple Watch, and they have Apple Watch, Whoop, and Garmin. Garmin is really good for long distance runners. It's really precise. Apple Watch is fun. That's what they said. And it has all the haptic touch and all the other technology. Maybe you want to call someone and it's an emergency. So Apple Watch is there. And then, of course, we have Whoop right now. And every version will give you new data. But they also say that all the data that they're giving you in every version, when we talk about technology, they already have it. They're just deciding to give it to you later. 1, because maybe they can't track it that well. Or 2, because they want you to subscribe for longer and longer and longer, just like an iPhone, and keep you addicted to it, just like cereal, till they can give you another version and another version. So that's what technology, it's never ending. I feel like we're talking about Claude and how it's better than ChatGPT now. Everyone's like, there's other reasons, which I don't want to say, why they're better, but it's technology. I feel like there will always be something in the forefront that can help you. People can also self-train nowadays. Self-regulate, self-train. So that's, I think, a really good thing, but it's on you how you use it and to what advantage.
What kind of value do you and the teams you work in put in aligning your menus, recipes, ingredients lists with those of the wearables and the stuff that these people are reading and seeing, and in all the information it's got? How do you go about trying to align what you're putting in your food and your menus to what they're advising on their applications that are just becoming so popular?
Yeah, I think it's really tough. I remember there was another, I forget what that calorie tracker was. Nobody uses it anymore, or some MyFitnessPal. I also use it for my clients. And I told them just input all the information. And they would be like, okay, like, how do I know what's in there? Imagine you put, today I ate a slice of pizza. The slice of pizza can range from 100 calories to 1,000 calories. You don't really know what's in there. That's where we came in as Soul Sante Cafe. We gave them information. These are how many calories you're consuming. So we're trying to help them there. We help them customize their meals also. So they tell me, okay, I want to eat 2,000 calories, and I want 100 grams of protein, and I want it to be plant-based. And I'm like, okay, that's a little tough, but you need to give me some time. So the thing with the human beings are, because we have this human emotion of wanting to do it. We were talking about AI the other day. It'll just give up and keep trying and giving. Sometimes it gives you like a lot of wrong information. We were talking about it's funny thing today. I was planning for next month's festival of either Hindu calendar or the Catholic calendar, and it gave me one date, but that date was wrong. AI gave me that date, but the date was wrong. So I had to go down further, and then I stopped and I relied on what I knew from my personal experience. So we have to also be super careful of what information technology is giving us. People talk about human error. Why is nobody talking about technological error? I feel like that's really important thing to highlight. So we try to customize for people catering to their health requirements instead of telling them what to do. Two, we try to give them better options. So in Govindas, in MyGovindas, we have oil-free options, which is unheard of in Indian food. We had a doctor come in, teach us, so teach me and the team how to make a curry without oil, and it's a proprietary recipe, and then he left. So trying to invest in your employees, teach them new trends, new information, training, retraining. So we have health checks, we have audits every 6 months or every month, depending on what it is, to try to make sure we are in check. So hold ourselves accountable, and the auditor goes across all outlets and checks on us or on my team. And if somebody does require something that is beyond our what we can offer them or what we are currently offering, we have a team huddle or we check back with each other. Is this something we can do? And try to make an informed decision instead of rush into, we said this earlier, trying to attract somebody who might not be there for the long term, and he just wants to be just wants something really quick. But I think we say fast fashion and fast food, that's not what we're looking for. Something not quick. It might take a little longer, but I'm sure the service and the quality will be worth the wait. Yeah, I think that's, in line with what you asked.
How have you kind of combated challenges that have come your way in business broadly, and even now, have you, like, whether it be supply shortages, anything like that, how have you combated those challenges and come back stronger?
Yeah, I think we learned this in our MBA, like networking and trying to talk to everybody is really important. And one key takeaway I learned from, and this I will use this later. It will be important in my final, like, what I'm really thinking and how I go about things. I think my professor was making a joke in school, but he said, everyone is of use and everything is of use. Even, even a clock, a stopped clock, will give you the right time twice a day. So it stopped at 2 p.m. It's 2 p.m. At 2 p.m. It's also 2 a.m. the next time, you look at it. So that remained with me. And even in the MBA, like your network, that really remained with me. So even now, how I met you guys, we met through other people that I didn't necessarily have to meet. But I felt like it's really nice to be able to talk to people who are just as motivated as you, whether they're in a competitive business or in a business that's completely unrelated to you. Maybe I know one of the people we met with, he trades in oil and gas. I have no idea like how to work about that, but it's very interesting, and you never know. Maybe you can be of help. And we use this part in business and what all the knowledge that we're learning throughout our life. And I think that's the values that we inculcated. When I say we, my whole family and the network of the companies that we operate, is that try to give the respect to each person that you meet, because you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. And that's how it helped us in these hard times. I was playing basketball here with some guy who was like 40 years old. And at the time I was way, way younger. I'm not 40, but I'm just saying. I just play basketball. And I don't have to talk to him outside of basketball. But then I just asked him, hey, what do you do? He's like, oh, I supply food stuff. COVID happened. He gave me the best prices. And he was so supportive. And even if I called him late at night, I'm like, oh my God, this ran out. And the customer is calling me. I need to get it to him tomorrow, but I don't have sugar. Not sugar, but we don't use sugar. I don't have dates. He's like, I'll get them for you. Within like a couple of hours, because I was his friend, he got it for me. But I never knew I would have to use him. So that was one thing that we really learned, that your network is so important. Like, I know people who work in tech and they move to Bali and they're online all the time. But I don't think they're going to live their whole life just by themselves. They're going to need a companion. They're going to want to grow themselves emotionally or spiritually in the future. And that requires other people. So my father always taught me this, even when someone comes to the office, before my brother and I would say, we don't want to talk to him. He talks way too much. And then he's like, well, so what? You don't know who he is or what he's capable of. And now you know this about people who have their startups. One day they're like doing something else. Another day they're a tech billionaire. Right? So we actually have no idea. I don't think anyone wanted to talk to Mark Zuckerberg in college. But as you can see from the movie, he decided to talk to people. He improved on his idea or their idea, whoever's it is. And here we are. So this is one thing that has really helped us through all the tough times in a business or anything we're doing. And I also, like, even when we're in a restaurant, we really just want to be able to just have a nice, healthy network of people that we care about and they care about us in return. Because when times are tough, which we can see again, you can rely on these people and you have no idea who's going to help you out. So this is really important, and we learn it in our MBA also, which we were talking about earlier, that, even being a good leader just means trying to be able to get along with everybody. So yeah.
Yeah, well, literally as we speak, people are trying to pull on, I think, every string they've got in the book just to make it through, whether it be through networking, looking through alternative pathways. I don't want to get too much into it. It's so recent, it's so raw for a lot of people, and already a lot of the stories and stuff coming out of the region are just catastrophic and, really quite on a downer. But if we were just to go in a normal setting on the ground here in Dubai, it's a city of convenience and dining out and a very unique lifestyle, that runs pretty much 24/7. How do you find that shapes people's health and landscape here, and how do you have to augment and make your menus and recipes here different to other locations that might be dotted around?
Yeah. Our recipes are proprietary, means I made them all, well, me and my team made them all by ourselves. That's why I went to culinary school, to understand the science behind food. And whether it's healthy or unhealthy, you just need to know why cake is made the way it's made, right? Why do you need this binding content? Why do you need a base? And instead of just going out and be like, oh my God, these guys sell burgers and they're really good, I'm going to do the same. But why? The why is so important, and the why on why you are doing it. So why am I doing it? My father wanted to start MyGovindas because at the time in 2001, there were many vegetarian restaurants, but none had the customer service or quality that we were offering, including the fact that nobody was Satvic. Even to date, there are many other restaurants who opened like us. I don't think they exist right now. So one, the why, and the founder, his reason for why. Even when you have a startup, they ask you, what problem are you trying to solve? Even when you're starting a restaurant with so much competition, they ask you, what, if it's not a problem, what are you trying to offer to the customer? What is your USP? What are you trying to do? And if you say, I just want to make burgers, fine, it'll work out. It does a lot of the times. But why are you doing it? and why are you the right person? So that's one thing that has really set us apart. And I said this earlier, trying to give people the correct information. And another thing, we treat our team members and the guest equally, just how as we would treat our family. Want to be able to give back in whatever way. I know this. One of the first few people that started the restaurant in 2001 still work there so many years later. So that says something about the organization and the kind of people that we are. Now we've diversified into other products like FMCG, like snacks, Fox Nuts, sell clarified butter, MyGovindas does. But why we're doing it keeps coming back in the forefront, even when we're marketing our product. And that really helps. If someone says, I want to give you the best chicken nuggets, or I want to give you the best damn salad in Dubai. I feel like I could make a good salad, but if they say that. And okay, why do you want to give the best salad? And can we be consistent regardless of the scenario around us? Is my quality going to drop just because I'm making more money? You can take really good example, and they said this before, about McDonald's or KFC. I have nothing against them. You learn so much, by the way, from these businesses. But in the beginning, when they started out, the ingredients that they were using versus now, I'm sure you've all seen that video from back in the day about the bun of McDonald's. It's not the same. They changed with evolving times, but I for sure can say I didn't change. And maybe today my customer won't realize, but a couple of weeks, months down the lane, he will. And that is my niche audience. If there's a pizza and you have 10% of the pie, you have 15 and maybe I have another 20. My aim is not to try to take your 10% or your 15. I have to stay consistent with my 20. If some of your percentage comes to me, that's great. But my aim is to stay true to these customers. What are they asking for? Listen to them. They send us reviews. They send us messages. We also try to ask for feedback. And then if we've implemented it, we call them back. And we're like, hey, by the way, we did this. Do you want to come back and tell us what you think? So that really helps, actually, trying to ask for help. And we said this earlier, there's no harm.
Absolutely.
What comes next for you, for the business, in the next, barring these unprecedented times, obviously, but expecting things start to get better, go back to normal a bit. What comes next for you?
I want to move more into Sante cafes, offering into like healthier products. Ideally, try to have it on supermarkets. Just some of the basic day-to-day stuff we use, like our granola, we make it from scratch in-house. We make our chocolate in-house. We make these really cool sneakers that I really like. So try to offer those products to a day-to-day consumer instead of having to come to us. And as an organization, we're trying to expand in the Middle East and other countries. So MyGovindas, we want to be in Australia or other parts of America. And try to make it a global brand and show that this can be carried out consistently without changing our principles. So that, and for me personally, after doing all these different things, I still every day want to find a way to give back. Try to shift more into wellness and other ways I can vertically integrate all my certification or all my knowledge. So I don't want to limit myself to food or fitness. Just try to see what other vertical there is missing that will really combine all of these things and try to give the consumer something I would want, something I would want to go after. And maybe in the beginning, there won't be many like me, but I feel like with education and information, like you and I are sharing today, maybe there will be tomorrow. So, yeah.
Well, Manisha, through your personal timeline and, you know, the problems and issues that, you know, are popping up everywhere around different food and nutritional stuff, and as an antidote to that, how you're trying to approach through your businesses, recipes and menus, and then that closing note there, you know, on the future outlook, it's incredibly exciting. And, you know, whilst in the short interim, we wish you the very best alongside so many other businesses in the region for getting through this really, what will be, and is only this, well, we hope the end is nearer than it may seem, but it might only be the start. We really hope that you, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
And I think just to the audience, we just, you know, hope that can help you shape the picture of the constructs of how you look at nutrition and what your diet might look like for you in terms of how you want to feel and move in your day-to-day life. Yeah.
And
move forward.
Yeah, and to add to that, like the journey that you've taken us on, like this podcast is about helping not only find what we want to do, but what people watching want to do, people our age. And through drawing from the range of your different industries that you're in, the different places that you've worked, how you came to the conclusion of what you're truly passionate about, you know, I think a lot of people might find this conversation really valuable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hope so. Same, just like you, I just want everyone to be happy, and, you know, like we spoke about giving back, and that's the one way we can really give back is just hope and try to do whatever we can in our small ways to make sure that everyone is thriving and well, because that's actually how you will also grow.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.